All right, what is up, guys? I'm a little late. Just got done coaching a little football. We got Spencer Shuffield coming on to the stream tonight. He said, "Give me just a few minutes." He's eating dinner, so we're gonna let the man eat some dinner real quick, and we'll get Spencer on here. So if you see me checking my phone uh, and other things, I'll be looking for him to get in here. So anyway, sorry I didn't upload anything the past few days, whatnot. I've been working at my real job, normal job, whatever you want to call it, and really excited to be streaming tonight. Probably stream sometimes this weekend. I'll be on days this weekend. I got to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm off Monday. And so I'll probably try to stream in the evening, at least Sunday night, late night Sunday night, and like we've been doing. So, what's up, Sycamore? What's up, Darius King? All the new channel members, new subscribers, appreciate that for joining in. So we'll get Spencer in here in a little bit, and about let you guys know a few things going on. Uh, let's talk about Labor Day sales real quick. So 6 Cents Fishing is going to have a Labor Day sale. It's already begun. So 20% off. Use the code Labor Day, one word. You get 20% off. Doesn't work on a few things. That's brand new items and custom baits. I think there's going to be some bait drops this week. So the code will be Labor Day. Let me get Nightbot pulled up so I can type in the chat. And then Waterland sunglasses be 20% off all weekend. Go to waterland.com or Waterland Co, which stands for company.com. You can get 20% off any Waterland sunglasses. I like them. I wear these right here. These are the Haybos, the Hybros, whatever. These are my football coach's sunglasses. That's a silver mirror. I'll be honest, I'm really digging the silver mirror. It's one of those lenses that I think get overlooked. Everybody's just green or blue. The silver's really good all around glass. I really like it quite a bit. And the Waterlands are very clear to me. I really like these. These kind of, you can wear them to the mall and your wife on a date. You can wear them on stream. You can wear these at night, whatever you want to do. But I really like the Waterland sunglasses. I've been with them for a long time. They're comfortable. They got a sale. That's 20% off. Use code Labor Day. They're on 6 Cents or Waterland's website. Tackle Warehouse has a Labor Day sale. If you're email subscriber to Tackle Warehouse, you might know that. But the sale for everybody else goes live, I believe, Friday at 8 in the morning. And so it's 15 to 20% off a lot of items on Tackle Warehouse. Make sure you click that Tackle Warehouse link in the description or go back some previous videos and you click the baits. But that sale go totally live. I believe it's Friday. So as soon as Spencer gets in here, I will put the headphones on and we'll ask Mr. Sheffield some questions. Just won the Major League Fishing Tournament on the St. Lawrence River, $200,000. And pretty cool story about Spencer is several years ago, he kind of took a break from fishing, and he's really, really, he's on top, man. He's fishing good. He's got awesome social media following. He's kind of like the TikTok bass fisherman, I like to say. But it's been a great comeback for his career. And we're going to talk a little bit about fishing for smallmouth on the St. Lawrence. We're going to talk about his strengths. Uh-oh. See, I'm trying to log in. It's not letting me. Hold on just a second. I sent him an invite. Give me just a minute. Trying to work through the bugs here. All right. Anyway, let's see if we can get Spencer in here. He just messaged me, say he's ready. So, see any questions, anything? Anybody got some good bait stories? Rick Bartz, what's up? Victor, what's up? Can a Ford Explorer pull a bass boat? Jeff Garrett, I think it will. I think it will. So if you guys don't know, I've been wanting a bass boat really, really bad, and I almost bought one last week, but I ended up buying my wife a new Ford Explorer. So her van was pretty rough. It just had issues. It was a good van inside and all that. It's got low miles, but had some issues. So you know what? We trade that sucker in, and we got our new Ford Explorer SUV. And she was without a vehicle for a bit, and I was trying to go fishing with Darius and all kinds of stuff, and I couldn't get it to work. So James says a frog bite has been nice lately. So I threw the Vega frog a little bit the other day. I uploaded a little YouTube short. I had a really tough day on Lake X, and I literally got 4 bites, and I missed one on the Vega frog and one on a crankbait, and I fished for 6 hours, and I caught 2 on the Krug. So, all right, here's a good question we'll ask Spencer. What was the most important thing, Spencer? There he is. He's in here. I'm going to get him in the stream right now. There's Spencer.
Hey.
Hold on just a second, bud. Let me plug in. All right, can you hear me good?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you
all right,
pretty
good
good.
deals. All right, guys, welcome to the stream. It's still crazy for me to call FLW MLF, so I get confused. But
Yeah.
Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit champion. He's even got the belt to show for it.
Yep.
Mr. Spencer Shuffield. Spencer, thank you for joining us on the stream tonight.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, get my volume kicked up here a little bit. Let's see. All right, Spencer, kind of introduce yourself here to the guys that may not know who you are. I remember you as kind of an old school guy, back I remember the tournament you led on Pickwick several years ago.
Yeah.
No offense, you looked a little different back then.
Yeah, a little different facial hair back then. I was still trying to figure out my style, I guess. But, yeah, I started as a co-angler in 2007, and I fished co-angler through 2012, and then I went to the front in 13 and fished out of the front 13, 14, and 15. And then I took off the 16 through 19 and started back 2020. And I've been out there ever since.
Yeah, man. So I've had a lot of guys ask me, man, you need to get Spencer Sheffield on the stream. And this is before your win. And they're like, man, I watched this dude on TikTok. His stuff is awesome. And I kind of know you as the Yozuri TikTok guy. Putting a lot of good content out there. I'm not going to lie. Some of the fishing TikTok's a little cringe, but you've really found a niche and got a really good following.
Yeah, I like the TikTok. Instagram's my main deal, I guess you could say. Or that's where my biggest following is. But yeah, I get into doing that stuff, I got some people that do my social medias for me where they get the clips and stuff, and then we put them together and put them up there. So there's a lot of work that goes into all of that, to get stuff that people actually care to see, TikTok's kind of goofy, It seems like the smallest 5-second clips gets all the views, It's a little different on Instagram. It's got to kind of be something worth watching.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Of course, my wife, she watches all kinds of weird every day. So I saw this on TikTok. I'm like, all I see is guys holding baits and catching fish. That's
Yeah, that's me too.
But anyway, let's talk about your win there at St. Lawrence. I didn't get to follow it a whole lot because I work like 60 hours a week, whatnot.
Yeah.
But we got I kind of open this up to questions to guys in the chat. We got about 80 viewers right now. We may grow that to sometimes we get up to 200-300. But fishing the southeast wants to know, Spencer, what was the most important thing you learned from your win?
Uh, Hopefully how to win more often.
That's a good answer. That's a
Yeah.
real good answer.
I feel like since I won, when I first started, it was one of them deals like, man, it's going to be hard to make that first top 10. And I made a top 10 my second or third tournament in. I believe it was my third tournament in. It was Table Rock. I ended up finishing second in that event. Should have won it. I lost by 7 ounces. Brent Long won it. That was my first year pro. Uh, I made a lot of top 10s out of the back of the boat, but I mean, as a co-angler, I mean, it was still a lot, just as much work there, but I don't know. I just don't count that stuff as much, I guess, now that I fish out of the front. But it was one of them deals like once I got that first top 10, I felt like they come a lot easier after that.
Right.
And then it was like top 10s, I felt like, I ought to be making 2 or 3 top 10s a year. And then since then, it's been, I've got to get that win. I've had like 4 seconds, 3 or 4 thirds. Um, I think with the tour in the last 3 years, I've had eight or nine top tens, and finally to get that win, man, it feels good. Now I feel like it should
Monkeys off
come
your
a lot
back.
more often. I feel like I can make it happen a lot more. I can recreate it and do it more often. You see that with a lot of guys out there. I mean, John Cox was a prime example. Mike O'Neill, he just started doing that, but John Cox was a guy. I mean, he started when I started pro, and it took him a long time. It seemed like to figure it out, figure himself out. And man, when he got that first win, I mean, it's like he's winning every other tournament. And
Yeah.
now Neil, he won his first one last year in what, September? And he's won two more since. It's just like with some guys, once you finally get that first win, they start coming pretty often then. And I'm hoping
Yeah,
that's the way it's going to
absolutely.
be with me. I
Well, I
feel
hope.
different internally with it too, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Oh, dude, that makes perfect sense. So, different sport. I'm a huge dirt racing fan. Sprint cars, late models. We got a local guy here. His name's Tanner English, and he's been right there. I mean, he's been second. He's been third in big races, and then this past weekend, he won his first, major national tour victory. Then so he got to taste it the next night. He wins $30,000. Wins the next event, and I feel like momentum and confidence and knowing you can get it done, it goes a long way. So when you're in that position to win again, or you're in the top five and you got a chance, you know what to do. You know how to make the breaks go your way a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it would not surprise me to see an angler like you or anybody else when they taste victory first time, they get on a little bit of a roll.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping happens. I really am. Um, I'm hoping that I can get right out there next year on the Bass Pro Tour and generate 2 or 3 wins. I've still got a couple tournaments left to fish this year. I fly out September 15th, going back up to Messina again to fish that last Toyota Series of the Northern Division, and I'm leading the points over there. But so I'd like to win that, but I got old Brian Schmitz right behind me. The guy that just won the Elite Series at
Yeah, that
lacrosse.
guy seems to make a little bit of money fishing.
Yeah, so that's going to be a fun little shootout there. I think I've got like a 30-point lead over him. He's in second. But I'd like to win that Toyota Series Angler of the Year. And then we got the Toyota Series Championship on Gunnersville, November 3rd through the 5th. It pays 200,000 too. So that'd be a sweet little victory to get that 200 grand as well. But
You could buy a lot of
uh,
tackle with that.
so I've got those 2 tournaments coming up, and after that, I get to sit around here for about a month and a half and look forward to the BPT starting. I'm ready for them to release their schedule, so I
Right.
know which ones I can circle on my calendar and put a bullseye on its back.
Absolutely. What made you decide to? So, did they when you win, or is it your point situation that's getting you into the BPT?
It was points. It was points. I actually qualified for it this year,
Okay,
last year,
I thought you
and
did, but I couldn't remember.
I
So,
did, and they ended up not giving out the spots. that was initially said to be given out. They were supposed to give like 10 guys a spot. They ended up only giving 4 or 5 spots out. I was the first guy out. And that was a heartbreaker, man. And so this
Dude.
year, that was my main goal. And this year, I was the first guy in. So but they go off points. It was top 10 in AOY points just this year, and I ended up finishing third. So, uh, yeah, we're in 100%. They can't take it away from us this year for sure.
That's right, and plus you just won 200 grand before you go win that thing, so obviously it makes you feel good a little bit on the financial wise. But it sounds like you're ready to
Yeah.
win another 200 grand. So
Yeah, man, I am. I mean, it's tough doing it. A lot of guys, I mean, I know a lot of guys that do it understand, but a lot of guys that are on the outside looking in, so many of them think, oh, them guys, it's a money sport now. Dude, I'm here to tell you, just because we're out there fishing for a living don't mean we got a lot of money. I mean,
dude, 100%.
I've had, I can't tell you how many times I filled my boat up and went negative in my account knowing I was going to go negative just so I could go out and fish the next day, the first day of the tournament. It's not what guys think. I mean,
Right.
it's just because we're fishing professional don't mean that we've got just all this money. I mean, I have worked my butt off to win that tournament that I won, and yeah, it's awesome. 200,000. I mean, it does set me up good, but only because I'm able to pay off a lot of the debt that I've created over the last 3 years trying to do this, and so financially it takes a lot of pressure off of me again, and I can really just get out there and concentrate on winning more and more and more. But I mean, it takes a lot of sponsor money. It's a lot. I got a family too, 3 kids. My girls are in cheer. That's like $500 a month. I mean,
It ain't
you
cheap,
start
man.
adding truck payments and the tack. I mean, I make a tack warehouse order. It seems like every 3 days, because you have to be prepared for what you might need in the tournament. So nowadays, since all the COVID, when I overnight a tackle warehouse package, it ain't actually going to get to me the next day. It's always 2 days.
Yeah.
So you have to pay for the overnight no matter
Mm.
what. And I always seem like I'm ordering $300 extra than I need, but
Man, I feel the same way, and I
I'd
don't even
rather
fish
have it than not
tournaments.
have it, or have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So I always order more than I need. And dang man, it's like money's constantly going out,
Dude,
you
I hear
know?
you. I just made 2 tackle warehouse orders like last week, and I was
Yeah,
working last night, and I was filling up another cart. I'm like, what am I doing? I went fishing Saturday, and I got 2 bites, but now I'm over here. It's always the hunt for something new, something
yeah,
different, or you
for
just run
sure.
out of stuff, and you don't.
Yeah.
I ain't got that many, Cincos or whatnot. So
Yeah, and when you're up there up north fishing them smallmouth lakes, consecutive tournaments for a month and a half at a time, let me just tell you, you go through some TRDs and some flatworms. I mean,
yeah,
I go through an average of 6 bags of flatworms a day. I
wow,
mean, they just take them.
yeah.
They jump so much, they throw them off, and them things sink, and it's hard to keep up with it.
Well, let me ask you. So you're from Arkansas. I'm from Kentucky. Not
Yeah.
too much difference. Pretty good basketball teams. I think the Arkansas Lakes may be a little better than Kentucky Lake is now. Kentucky Lake's really pretty rough. But you went on St. Lawrence. So St. Lawrence, did you rely on previous experience up there, or did you come in and fish the St. Lawrence River totally new? Arkansas is a little bit more diverse than up north. So
Yeah, I don't know. I say, I mean, there's good anglers all over the country. Uh, But I would say most consistently, the best anglers in the country come from Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. That's where they come from. Tennessee,
yeah,
just because we've got such diverse fisheries. I mean, I can drive 20 minutes and fish a muddy lake that's full of lily pads, gator grass, cypress trees, or I could drive 20 minutes and fish a lake like Lake Washita that's got 200-foot water everywhere in it. You can see the bottom 10 foot deep, and it's full of big spots, big largemouth, drop shot, Ned rig, stuff like that. Uh, we've got so many different types of fishing. We got the Arkansas River. I mean, so we get to
mm-hmm.
do the river fishing. So the guys around here are so well versed in different areas. It doesn't seem to matter where you carry us, really. I mean, we've had experience here at home fishing that style. Uh, so that's why I've always said a lot of good fishermen come from this area. Texas is kind of the same way, Tennessee,
Yeah.
all that. But I've only been to the St. Lawrence one other time, and that was last year. I went up there, practiced our 2 days. Actually, I didn't even get the first day of practice. My trolling motor went out on me, so I only got one day of practice. But the first day of the tournament, I went out and caught 20 pounds, was in 19th. And then the second day, I ran all the way down there, had 3.5, 4 hours to fish, just got in a bad rotation. And, when you only got 4 hours to fish, it's hard to get out of a bad rotation.
Dude.
And I managed only catching 2 bass and for 8 pounds and fell all the way to 101st. And so I was pretty upset with St. Lawrence going back into it this
Right.
year. And so, we only got 2 days of practice. I never went pre-fished for it or anything this year. So I just rolled up there and stayed in the section of the river I felt like it could be one in, which is that Clayton to Lake Ontario section, and found that group of fish that I ended up winning off of the second day of practice. That's when I found them.
That's awesome. So let me just be straight up. What was the magic bait for you? I know I just heard you mention flatworms. Did you throw any kind of hard baits? Was it kind of a drifting, drop shotting deal, Ned rigging deal?
It was all a drop shot and a Ned rig for me. The flatworm. The first day of the tournament, I caught them on the 4.25 inch flatworm, but the rest of the tournament, I caught them on the 3.25, 3.5, whatever. Brownback, green pumpkin party, Gobiashi. Those were the ones I caught them on, and a Ned rig. I waited in 3 or 4 on a Ned rig. Now in practice, I exclusively threw a Ned rig, but that area I found that second day of practice was more of a drop shot area because of the fact there was a little bit of grass on the bottom. It was only probably six. I wasn't even that tall. It was probably about 4 or 5 inches tall. Real short grass, but that Ned rig would fall down that grass and kind of sponge down in. The grass was real spongy, so that Ned rig would kind of fall down in the grass, and those smallmouth would chase it to the bottom, but they wouldn't eat it because it would kind of go down in that grass. So the drop shot ended up being the main deal because I could get that flatworm to sit up above the grass and they would run over to it. The bait was still right there in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd eat it.
Dude, I love it. I mean, that's a great answer. It actually answered a couple questions guys had already asked. The Ned rig bait, were you just standard TRD on the Ned rig or
Yeah,
any
I was,
special hook?
man. I'm telling you, like, I'm all about max scent for smallmouth, okay?
Yep.
Uh, it's the real deal. But they they have come out with the Little General now, and it's
Mm-hmm.
max scent. And it's for a Ned rig, and I have caught hundreds of smallmouth on that thing this summer. I mean, hundreds, literally, probably 700 or 800 on that darn thing. But I've learned because I've spent like 47 or 48 days this summer just fishing Champlain, Saranac, Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence, in the tournament. I've learned that those smallmouth bite the Z-Man TRD the best
Really?
uh, because of the fact it stands up. The Little General lays flat on the bottom. It won't stand up, and so them smallmouth would chase it to the bottom. And if there's any type of vegetation on the bottom at all, or thick rock, like where that thing can kind of get down in the
Mm-hmm.
cracks, they just won't bite it. You'll watch them go down to it and they'll just follow it and then they'll just, end up belling off. That TRD will go down there and it stands straight up and you can just slightly shake it and just kind of make that thing, I think, move like it and they'll suck
Yeah.
it on in. So in practice, I actually throw the max in the tournament, I throw the TRD.
That's awesome. So, man, so I have a feeling, Spencer, just based on what you're telling me, you're kind of a tackle nut. I mean, it
Yep.
seems like you've got. It's like me. I may not. I'm definitely not on your level fishing or even close. But I will spend time, whether it's in a pool or at a pond or just go to the boat ramp and figure out. Okay, this is what this bait looks like on a shakehead. This is what it looks like on a Ned rig. I may run a Boston crankbait for 25, 30 minutes just to figure it out. How's it hunting? Does this one track
Yep.
left, track right? Is it some, you talk about being on tackle warehouse all the time? Is that something you like about fishing? Do you like being able to mess with techniques and figure something out? That's kind of my deal. I like buying new tackle. I don't care who makes it, and go out and catching one on it. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
not a tournament guy, but I get that rush when I buy $100 swim bait or a $10 swim bait, and I can
Yeah,
make it
for
work.
sure. I did used to be that guy, that exact guy, matter of fact, and that's how I've gotten to where I'm at now. A lot of it is I would find a technique that worked. Let's just say I'm going to use a jerkbait for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Um I got my hands on a Megabass jerkbait in 2005. That's about 4 years before most people had ever even heard of it.
I would
I had a
say
guy that moved out here from.
that's about when I was working at my first tackle shop.
Yep.
You've probably been to on Kentucky Lake. It's Fisherman's headquarters. I worked there for years, and just got some in. I'm like, what is this? These are $29,
Yeah.
and it was a life changer.
Yeah. Well, I had a guy that moved out here from California, and they'd had them since 2001 when they come out, but they'd always kind of just stayed over on the West Coast. He introduced me to it. I mean, well, he dominated around here for 3 years on that thing. It was unreal. Uh, but anyways, long story short, let's take the Megabass jerkbait for instance. As good as it used to be, which I mean, it's still a good jerkbait, no doubt. But as good as it used to be, I would buy other brands,
Right.
and you would learn which brands they would buy, which ones they weren't, or they wouldn't. It was hard for anything to compare to the Megabass at the time because of the fact it was such high detail, had such good darting action. Uh, the weight transfer system, you could throw it a lot better. It was just excellent all around there. The fish, just hadn't seen or heard anything like that. But I went through lots of different jerk baits to find other ones that worked. So it's kind of that way for plastics with me. Like when they're biting a baby brush hog or a big brush hog, I bought the Missile Baits
Mm-hmm.
brand. I bought the Big Box Baits brand. Same thing with swim baits. Same way with jigs. And now I've gotten to the point where I've basically circulated through so many different brands of certain baits that I found the brands in every category that works the best. And so now I've got the one brands I stick with.
Right.
I mean that's just the way it is because I've went through all of them to figure that out. And I factor everything in. Is it tungsten? Is it not tungsten? Is the skirt hand tied or is it up just on a rubber band? How good's the hook? Is it stout? Is it not? All of that stuff. Is it a cross eye or a straight eye for your line tie? Uh, Lots of different things that goes into a process of what makes a bait better than another brand. And I feel like in every category, jerk bait, crankbait, soft plastic, drop shot hooks, whatever it may be, I've used what's the best
Right.
that's out available to me at this moment. So, but I
I
had to
don't
go
think
through a
you'd want
lot
to
of
put
stuff
me
like
and
that to
you. I
learn
don't
that.
think you'd want to put me and you in tackle warehouse and let us go at it. It would be pretty wild. Just
Yeah,
from
well, see
I
now,
do this
I still
exact same stuff. I feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I still spend a lot of money with them, but now I buy duplicates, several duplicates of what I'm buying. Now when I buy stuff, but yeah, man, I feel like I've kind of got it narrowed down to what works for me, what I like, my confidence. It's just like I tell anybody, my favorite jerkbait. And yeah, I'm sponsored by them, but my favorite jerkbait is the Yozuri,
I think I got
110.
one in here.
Yeah, it's my favorite, and like I tell everybody, your favorite might be the Jackal Re-Range, or
Right.
another guy's might be a Rapala. I mean, whatever you have most confidence in, that's what you better be throwing. I've got my confidence bait, so that's what I use, and I've got the most experience with, so that's why I use what I use.
I've got one of those. This is the Yozuri 110. Now, my favorite color is Table Rock Shad, Chartreuse, and Purple. I don't care what brand, and that's a confidence thing for me.
Yeah,
Several years ago, I figured out a little bite on the sour grape rattle trap on Kentucky Lake when we had some dirty water. And man, I caught fish after fish and let a buddy use it, and he's like, "Dude, this works." So I buy every bait I can find in Chartreuse Purple because that's the first one I throw. But I've weeded out which ones it's more of the bait not working. It's not always about color. But I bought this last fall, believe it or not, and that's the jerkbait Spencer likes right there. That
yep,
the Yozuri 110 SP.
yep.
Uh,
I like the 110 deep's my favorite,
so you
but
like the 110 deep?
yeah, I like the 110 deep, but I throw that one a lot too.
Do you now? Let me ask you this: forward-facing sonar. It's a huge
Hmm.
debate. I'm pro forward-facing sonar. I'm actually pro anything that can improve anybody's angler. You
Yeah.
know, obviously, you don't go play. You go don't go
Yeah.
play football in leather helmets anymore. You're going to wear the right equipment. So, how do
Yeah.
you feel about forward-facing sonar? And you mentioned that deeper jerk bait. Is that come to be a really big tool of yours, or you
Yeah. I
just
mean,
use it when it's convenient?
nah. I mean, a jerkbait and live scope goes together like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it's just anything that it's got a bass up off the bottom. Any bait that a bass is going to have to come up off the bottom and get, live scope's going to be a big help with that. But I don't know, man. I try to stay out of the live scope debate because it's just so goofy to me. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
agree
even a
with that.
debate. Like, if you're debating that live scope should be banned, then you probably should just quit fishing. Personally, I mean,
Yeah.
because if you got a problem with live scope, then you should have a problem with braid. You should
Yep.
have a problem with treble hooks. I
Weight
mean,
transfer and baits.
come on, man. In 8 years, we're going to look at live scope and think that was junk.
Yep.
I mean,
That's really
honestly, we're,
weird.
we're going to. Technology's never going to stop. They're not going to do away with it. For one, those companies pump in so much money in the fishing industry. It even goes to the game and fish. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, they pump so much money into the fishing industry. They wouldn't get rid of it if they wanted to. They're just not going to. It's not going anywhere. Uh, and everybody's got it on the pro level. I mean, I see that all the time on Facebook. People says, "Well, they ought to do away with it on the pro level." Well, we've all got it, so it's perfectly a level
Right.
playing field. I could see doing away with it at local tournaments, like BFLs or club tournaments or ABAs. I could see them doing away with there, but the pro level should be the last place you get rid of it because we've all got it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not a single pro out there that doesn't have live scope. Not a one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's a, especially if you're at the pro level. I think it's
Yeah,
readily available for you. And if
yeah.
you're truly a pro, why would you do something to hinder yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we've all got it. It helps us do our job a little bit more effectively. Uh, Live scopes helped me more than it's hurt me, but it has hurt me at times too.
Right.
There's been a lot of times I've pulled up on places and I can tell there's two or three 5+ pounders down there, and I've spent too much time trying to get one of them to bite. When typically I would have just pulled the trolling motor up, moved on to the next spot. Probably would have ended up hitting 4 or 5 more spots by the end of the day, and probably caught an extra 5 pounder or two that I didn't because I was too busy looking at a couple on live scope that I knew was already there. But I mean, it's just one of them deals where it's not one of them deals where you just plug it in, you go out there and start catching them. I have spent endless amounts of hours on the water learning that thing, thousands and thousands of hours, being able to tell what size the fish is, a bass versus a walleye. Uh, Gosh, man, I've spent countless hours out there. I mean, this is the deal. The guys that catch them now are the same guys that were catching them before live scope come out. I don't.
100%.
I mean, the guys that are around here, just at a local level here in Arkansas, I don't know one guy that wasn't cashing checks before live scope come out that is cashing checks now. Not a one. It's the same 10 guys now that it was before, and I can't even tell that the weights have gone up any at all. I
No.
mean, it's not like it went from taking 18 to win a tournament every weekend to now it's taking 28. The weights are the exact same, and it's still the same guys in the top 10. I mean,
Dude, I agree with you
it's the same.
100%.
I'm just telling you, it don't matter. I mean, the same guys are going to catch them whether you got it or you don't.
Right.
You
So I
know?
remember, remember when, the Humminbird come out with side imaging and
Yeah,
then Lowrance come out with down imaging and all that. It is the same stuff. But those ledge fishermen here on the Tennessee River, the really good guys that figured out using Carolina rigs and football
yeah,
jigs and a map were the first guys to get really good with down imaging and side imaging. They were still
because they
winning.
already knew what was there, and then they
Right.
were really able to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I feel about live scope. I mean, you don't push a button and it goes finds the fish. You still got to know the areas. You still got to
I
do
mean, you
map
got to know
study.
where to even look to find a bass.
Dude, I have trouble
You
finding
know?
my bait on that thing half the time, so it don't do me
Yeah.
any good.
Hey, look, I grew up. My dad was, obviously did it for 33 years full time. I grew up we always kept a 1 ounce spoon tied on, and we'd pull up on a point, and we'd drop it straight under the boat, and we'd count how many seconds it took it to get to the bottom. We didn't know what depth we were in until we counted that spoon down to a certain amount of seconds. Usually it was like 12, 10 or 12, and we knew we were in less than 30 foot of water, and that's about where we wanted to sit. Then we'd take a Carolina rig and we'd throw it up on the point and see what kind of stuff was down there on
Yeah.
bottom. And then we would throw other baits to catch them once we got our first bite. So, and I learned how to mark stuff on the bank with two objects: a building and a
Yep.
tree and a parking sign, whatever it was. I learned. I was raised with flashers. I mean, to me personally, I don't care if they went back to that. But it's not going to happen. But I'm
Right.
just saying, I mean, that's how I was raised.
I still
So,
think a lot of anglers have gotten, they don't even know about triangulation.
no,
When I
no,
first
not at
ledge fish
all.
on Kentucky Lake, a famous drop, I don't mind putting it out, it's called the satellite hole. And you had to look across the lake and line up on a big satellite dish. And then if it was lined up on this tree over here, and then I think it was the fourth lock from the dam out in front of Sled Creek, if you lined up exactly on that, you made that cast, and that's how you found that drop. And a lot of guys, need to learn that because nothing against live scope. I'm pro for it and everything, but you can have issues. Your graphs might not work. Your live
Yep.
scope goes down.
That's
Maybe
why
your
every
map
time
card won't pull up.
yep, when I find a school of fish, I always make a landmark with it. Every single time. I'll take a picture with my phone or something like that just because of what you said. You never know when your electronics are going to go out on you. I mean, you're crazy not to. I mean, I think of all that stuff too ahead of time on the water, but I still triangulate stuff like that. Every time I find a good spot, I've got a landmark, so if something like that happened, I know I can still get on that spot if I can't depend if my units were to break down on me.
We'll get into some viewer questions. Man, that's good stuff, Spencer. I like the fire you got under you here, too. Shimano Shane, here's a good question. How long before you see your buddy Evan Barnes over there on the BPT with you, Spencer? I fished as his Kona Toyota, and he's a hammer. I like Evan. He's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Uh he's moving on up in the points every year. So it could be next year. I mean, he's growing as a fisherman, still learning himself a lot, and has gotten better every year. So I'd be looking for him to get over there. Within the next year or two. Tip possibly might could make it next year. Uh, there's still a lot of rumors that a bunch of guys are maybe possibly going to back out of BPT. I don't know. Have no idea.
You're
Don't
just
think
going to
they
go
will.
fishing.
But if they somehow had to go on down the list, he's only like four out, I think, is all. So he could potentially still get in. But
I'd like to see him in there. I think Evan's a great guy. I think
yeah,
you're
he
going to
is.
love
He's a
him.
good dude. Real good dude.
We'll get some more rapid fire questions. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you told me you got to travel a lot. What's your favorite brand that you found? I mean, obviously you're sponsored by Zuri, but is there any other maybe hidden favorites out there that not everybody knows about?
Well, I'd like that to be a little bit more specific. We talking just hard bait or is that soft bait too?
Uh,
I'll just
that
give you both.
sure.
My favorite hard bait. I mean, yeah, it would be Yozuri because of the fact they've got the 110 deep. They've got an excellent square bill. They've got the rattling vibe. I've been throwing the rattling vibe since I was like 15.
God, those OG ones are awesome.
Yes. The hardcore 7, 5, and 7 plus. I mean, I should have won Gunnersville this year throwing them two crankbaits. Phenomenal. Second favorite hard bait company would probably, gosh, I don't know, man. It'd be a toss up between Rapala and Jackal, maybe, or I don't know. I don't really throw any other hard bait brands, to
Right.
be honest with you. But if it was soft bait, it would have to be Missile or yeah, Missile, and I use quite a bit of Zoom stuff, but half the
Dude,
time you get some out of their package, the tail's crooked on it or something. That's kind of frustrating to me.
yeah, I noticed that Zoom in the last
Rage.
yeah,
I like
Rage stuff
Rage.
is really
Strike
good.
King.
The
Yes, I
last
use a
5
lot of this stuff.
years, Zoom stuff is really, it seemed, I don't know if it's the mass amount they're making, they're so popular. You're
Maybe
getting
putting
a
them in
lot
the
of stuff.
bag's a little too hot.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you throw a soft jerk bait much. But
Yeah.
like I always loved the fluke, and I think it's a great amateur bait. I don't mean that
Mm-hmm.
negative. If you're just learning fishing, it's a bait that'll get bit. And I love a fluke, especially donkey rig this time of year. But sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
get those flukes and they're just hard, and then you'll get a pack and they're super soft. And I have to kind of, when I'm in a tackle shop, I'm over feeling the bags and trying to figure out which is the softest one. So
Do you like
quality.
them softer or harder?
If I'm throwing it on a Carolina rig, believe it or not, I like them a little bit stiffer. If I'm donkey rigging or just an EWG hook and I'm fishing for schoolers and I want it working up near the top, I like them pretty soft.
Yeah.
Some people like it totally different, but for the most part, the ones I got are soft. Soft jerkbait on Carolina rigs been pretty deadly for me the last
Yeah.
few years. Um, but what's your favorite missile bait, and have you thrown that new magic worm?
I have not. My
Mm.
favorite missile bait's the baby D bomb or the crawfather.
Dude, Crawfather, super underrated, man. I
Yeah,
love that
it's
on
good.
the back of a little tiny like Kitech jig or your finesse jig. That Crawfather is
Hmm.
is amazing.
I like
Um,
punching it because boy, it'll slip through them mats really well.
right. What about reaction innovations? You ever throw in their stuff? They're pretty OG.
I throw the skinny dipper quite a bit. Trixie shark, I like it a lot down in Florida. Uh, that's probably about it. I don't throw a beaver anymore. I throw the rage bug. I mean, do they even still make beavers? I mean, honestly,
They
I
do.
mean,
Everybody's got one. It seems. Rage bug's hard to beat. I feel
man, you can't beat a structure bug. I'm just telling you, that's what I flip no matter what if I'm throwing that type of bait for
I
sure.
feel the bug is just a little bit more versatile than just the sweet beaver. I know there's different style beavers, but
Yep,
if you're a guy that just wants to buy one, you can get the bug and you can wobble head it, you can Texas rig it, you can punch
Carolina
it,
ок, punch
Carolina
it. Yep,
rig, put it
back
on
of
the
a
back of a
jig is
check.
still
Yeah,
good.
it's
Yeah, especially a 3/4 ounce football head.
yeah. I film Mark Menendez. He's got a local TV show, and I do his editing and filming, some of his social. And I have learned the power of Rage Plastics. And Mark's excellent, old school angler, just like your
Yep.
dad, fishing the same era. Um, let's see what other kind of questions we got here. I do know it's not a question, but I get this question a lot because I'm with Waterland Sunglasses,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like mine. And you're also sponsored by Waterland. As far as the sunglasses, do you got a recommendation for a guy? Are you a green mirror? Are you a blue mirror? Are you silver mirror? What's your
Green
favorite
mirror.
pair? Green mirror?
Green mirror. Now, I'm gonna tell you because I was wearing the blue mirror. Uh, the blue mirror when I won the tournament up there on stage. It's because my green mirror blew off my head on the way back to the boat ramp.
You're going to have to
Had a
text Knox and get you another pair.
I know I had a dang water turkey in front of the boat. We were running, and a water turkey out to my right and in front, and the son of a gun, for some reason, flew straight up and come flying right back at my head, and I had to duck. And when I ducked, my glasses caught wind and blew off the side of my face, so I had a spare pair in my boat, which was the blue mirror. I liked the blue mirror though, because I wore them the rest of the day, and they were great, but it was cloudy. I feel like that blue mirror is better when it's really sunny.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that green mirror is good when it's cloudy and when it's sunny. So I'm a green mirror guy for sure. And I believe it's called the Haskets or
Yeah.
Haskells. Those are the ones I like.
Yeah, they kind of wrap a little bit better. I like
Yeah, they
wearing.
cover. They don't let hardly any light in at all.
Well, I'm glad you answered that because probably the number one question I get on sunglasses, I get asked all the time or so on
Yeah.
Facebook is, "Hey man, what mirror?" And I always tell guys, if you don't know, go green mirror because you can wear them even when it's sunny and they're excellent overcast. If the water's got any color to it, the contrast in green mirrors,
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, we'll look for some more questions here, man. We got a lot of questions, which is good. All right, here's a good one. This is from Benedetto. It says, "Do you have a favorite top water?"
Yeah. The Yozuri pencil. It's the bomb.
Yeah,
Absolutely the bomb.
I just got a new one in. I got the. I might have
Dude,
told you.
it's better than the what was the one Reaction Ovation made or
Vixen.
whoever the Vixen. I'm telling you, billion times better. I
So,
was religious with that Vixen, and I'm just telling you, this son of the pencil was unreal.
and so I got a local guy here, Darius. He's probably in the stream. He's been big on this new smaller pencil.
Yeah, the
I just got one in
75.
from Tackle Warehouse. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just man, that thing just slays. So I've got the The pencil popper now, in that bigger size and that
Yep.
smaller 110 size, man, that thing's it makes they're only like $8-9. So you go pay 15, 16 for shower blow, which is awesome bait. Don't get me wrong, but you can
Yeah.
save some money. And I really feel like this is not just pimping you because you're sponsored by Yozuri. I've said this many times on stream. Yozuri is a underrated hard bait company.
It's
Like,
because they don't charge $25 for the bait.
right,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got that mentality, how you get what you pay for, but their baits are as highest quality as the $25 baits, but they're at a much more affordable price. And I'm the exact same way. I used to throw the the paycheck the paycheck
Repo
poppers.
Man,
Yeah,
or no,
no,
the one.
yeah, the one, dude, it was unbelievable. And they quit making them. I've still got like 8 or 10 of them, but I don't even throw them anymore because I've got the pencil popper, and I'm telling you, they sound almost identical, if not a little bit of a better knock to them. And the just the regular pencils, I'm just telling you, man, I've taken that sucker in some places. The big pencil, the 110 or the 120, yeah, that's what it is. The 110, I believe it is. But gosh, man, they eat that, dude. I'm telling you, they absolutely eat that top water.
I like their popper. I got, I guess it's a hardcore popper, and I
Yeah, you
really
got.
like it.
Yeah, it's got the magnetic weight transfer system in it. It's really good for shooting up under overhanging trees and stuff like that.
Trying to find a few more questions. I know you're on limited time. It's
No,
only
dude,
nine.
I'm not. I'm free till 12 o'clock if you want to sit here. I have nothing going
Well, we
on.
could do it, but I just got done coaching football. Them little kids wore me out. 9 and 10-year-olds. I'm surprised I have a voice from town to get in line.
Yeah,
Here's a good question. Do any big name custom bait builders ever send you anything? You ever get a little care
I've got a
package from
lot
those?
of hand poured stuff from old Paul Crew.
Dude, I've seen his stuff, and man, it looks good. He'll
Yeah,
DM me on Instagram. I'm gonna have to grab
yeah,
some of
his
Paul's
stuff is
stuff.
legit, no doubt, 100% legit.
All right, here's a question from Will Perryman. This is regarding the tournament. It says, Spencer, what do you think about the weights being zeroed on championship day?
I'm not a fan of it at all. I think that the guy that has got the most weight at the end of 4 days should be your winner because he deserved it the most. He's been the most consistent for 4 days. Uh, and that's for me to say that in a sense. If the format had been this way since I'd been back in 2020, I would have won a tournament every year. I would have won Lake Martin in 2020, Smith Lake last year. John Cox edged me out because he caught that big one right on his last cast. But
Mm-hmm.
I had 18 pounds that last day. He only had 16. So I had the biggest bag that day. And then I won this tournament in that format. Uh, so I would have won a tournament every year with it zeroing, but I still don't agree with it. I think it should be total 4 day weight. I mean, that's the guy, whoever's got the most weight after 4 days, that's the guy that should be your winner every single time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm old school. I think that's how it should
Yeah.
be. If it's a 4 day tournament, it should be commutative weight. It's
Yep.
not 3 day tournament and then here's a 1 day
Now, I mean, if we're going
shoot.
to zero going into the final day, then let's just only have a 1 day tournament. That's my opinion.
Yes. Let's see here. All right. Man, we have a lot of questions, so I'm going through here. Uh,
Now the BPT deal, I'm fine with it because it's
right.
as many fish as you can catch.
It's a
So
different
that's
format.
irrelevant. But
I
when
always
it's your,
kind of tell guys the BPT is kind of like a dirt track race. You
yeah, I
start
mean,
off, you qualify, you got your
yeah.
heat races, and then you got your feature. But you've got to make it to do perform well at each level to make the final.
Yeah, that zero on the final day or for championship day on the BPT when it's as many as you catch counts. Hey, the guy that wins that deserves to win it. Period.
Excellent.
But when it's 5 fish, it should be accumulative weight for the entire tournament.
All right, here's a good question. You're an Arkansas guy, and I know there's a lot of Arkansas guys that love balsa crankbaits. I'm a balsa crankbait guy
Yep.
too. Do you got any special balsa baits, or are you a fan of balsa baits?
I think I might have one to my name. I'm not a balsa guy. I mean,
Really?
nah, I don't. For one, if I don't want to have to be up on the bank throwing a square bill at all.
So
You know,
you're
I
more of an
just feel
offshore
like it's too
fisherman.
easy to catch fish on the banks for anybody. I think getting out offshore, fishing that foot or deeper. That takes just a little bit more skill. Fish out there are a little less pressured. Uh, I mean, anybody can just take off down the bank throwing a crankbait, but I do know that it makes a difference. I mean, believe me, I get it. Plastic crankbait versus a balsa. I mean, I have seen it where one outfished the other 10 to 1, but uh, I'm just not that kind of guy that gets into that. I mean, if I'm going to be up on the bank throwing a square bill, I'm just going to be throwing your typical square bill, or a chatterbait. But the couple bosses I probably do have, I think, are the one Kevin Short makes. I don't know what his company. It's Zoom.
Yeah,
I think they're made by Zoom.
yeah. Uh, yeah, that was the Ed Chambers Zoom. I know Kevin
Yeah,
Short
something
has
like
a
that.
stockpile of them.
Yeah, but no, I'm not a balsa guy.
That's all right, man. No judgment here. Here's a good question. I get this about any pro that comes on. 'Cause this is the Baitman show. We talk about a lot of baits.
Yeah.
What's an obsolete bait do you wish you could get some more of? Something that's been discontinued that's always been a player for you.
Dang, man, that's a rough one because there's a lot of baits that's been made that they discontinued, but a company comes back out with it and it's better than the one that's been discontinued, it seems like.
That is true. I
Hmm.
know everyone thinks the OG's better. I almost did a video of some baits that have come back out that are better than the originals.
Gosh, I wish I could give you a good answer on that, but I really don't have one. I mean, I'm sure once I get off of here, I'll think about something. Um, Darn, man. I just can't really think of anything, to be honest with you. I really can't.
You know,
Ah,
I know you mentioned Jackal. One of my
yeah.
favorites. One of my favorite top waters of all time is this guy right here. It's one. I know it's one three boats on Kentucky Lake, and that's the boat stick, and that's a hard one to find. I've always said I wish Jackal could bring this guy back out because now it's got really popular and it makes it tough for me. That's why when I find some, I stock up on them.
Oh, I know which one I wish they'd come back out with that they quit making or that I can't find anymore in Tackle Warehouse, and that's I'm a helix pop.
You know what? I don't even know what that is.
It's a prop bait.
A prop. Okay, yeah, I know
The
what you're
I'm a
talking
helix,
about.
the I'm a helix pop. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
can't find them little dudes anywhere anymore, and I caught way more on them than I did the Brian's B.
Is that I hear a lot of Arkansas guys talk about prop baits. Is that something that seems to be real specific to the Arkansas area? Is there a
No, dude,
secret
I've
to the
caught them
prop bait?
everywhere on that thing. As long as the bluegill or sun perch are up on a bank spawning and there's big bass up there around them, it's a big deal. But yeah, that's the one bait I can't. I just you can't hardly find them anymore. Is the I'm a helix pop.
Dude, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna put a note. I've been taking notes in my phone so I can link some of the baits you're talking about to Tackle Warehouse, so our resident bait junkies can go click on
Yeah.
the links and buy some stuff. So, anything else you want to talk about on your win? I'm trying to go through questions. There's just some of them we've actually answered inadvertently because of what you've been talking about or
Yeah.
whatnot. Um, Now you talked about you like to fish off the bank, so is your strength is basically more of a power fisherman offshore versus a John Cox got to go up shallow, got to beat the bank.
My deal's finesse. I mean,
Really?
I love, dude. I like catching them flipping and frogging as much as anybody in the world. I go places all the time just to do that. Where I'll take a flipping stick, 65 pound braid, and a 2 ounce weight, and I never put it down from daylight to dark. I do that all the time. But in my world, doing it for a living, that still wins a lot of tournaments. But that method of fishing doesn't cash a lot of checks, and it doesn't win a lot of tournaments either. There's only a couple a year that works. Uh, I'm not the guy that's going to roll up to a lake and figure out the one place that they're biting a frog or the one stretch of bushes I can catch them flipping. I'm pulling up to a place and I'm going to try to figure out the population of fish and hope I get enough of the right bites in the course of the tournament to have a shot to win it. And that's the way I fish. I fish for the population of fish. When I pull up to the lake, I go to the lake. I don't go up rivers. I don't go up in creeks much. I stay in the lake. That's where all your fish live mainly. I tell people all the time, 20% of your fish live in creeks. The other 80% live right out there on the biggest part of the lake. That's where they live. I always go to the the dam ends usually, always the lower end of the lake where the clearest water is, the most intimidating place is to fishermen because those are your less pressured fish. They're your easiest fish to catch once you figure out how to get them to bite. It might be hard to figure out how to get them to bite, but once you figure out how to get them to bite what they want, what they're really, the reason they're so hard to get to bite is because the water's usually a lot clearer. They can see a lot good, so they rely on their vision to feed more. So you have to throw something extremely natural, lot line, uh, really natural stuff to get those fish to bite. But once you get them pegged, figure out what you got to do to catch them. Oh man, it's like you catch every one of them that swims down there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just what I always do. I always fish for the population of fish. Finesse fishing is my deal. I say it all the time. I'd rather weigh in 30 pounds on a spinning rod and 6 pound test as I would a casting rod and 65-pound braid.
Just
Yeah, I
like
know
that.
you can crack a 6 pounder in 4 turns of the handle, boat flipper, and it's game over. But I'd rather it take 5 minutes to get her in. That is what's fun to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
I like the complete fight of it. Yeah, it's absolute heart pounding when you know there's $10,000 to $20,000 on the line because of the fish you got on the other end of it, and you got to get her in. It's taking you 5 minutes to get her in, but that's what's fun to me. I mean that's what it's all about. And but I catch them doing whatever I got to, man. If we roll up to Lake Okeechobee, obviously I know I'm gonna have to catch them flipping or anywhere in Florida, Harris chain stuff like that. But if we roll up to a place and I know a spinning rod's going to be a factor, I'm spinning rodding it up the entire time.
That's awesome. That's not like the total opposite of me. Kentucky Lake was like the power fishing lake in
Yeah,
the country for a long time. I didn't own a spinning rod, true spinning rod, till about 3 years ago. Now I'm
yeah,
gonna have to buy some spinning reels and more rods just to get them to bite. And it is fun. I do like catching them. Like a little finesse swim bait on a spinning rod, or
yep.
I like the Nico rig. It's one thing
Oh, I
I have
love
tied
it.
on a lot is the Nico rig.
Yeah, yeah, I love an eco rig. Eco
Uh,
rig, Ned rig, drop shot, little swim bait, all that stuff is good.
all right, somebody here in chat said they know where to get some of those amas. I'll, I'll pull it up.
Well, I
Guy
haven't
named
looked for one in probably about 6, 8 months, but Tackle Warehouse did discontinue carrying them.
Right. So Daniel T says, Spencer, there's two places I can tell you where you can find some ama helips. I won't say it in open chat so people don't go by them. He says he'll DM you after the stream.
Awesome. I wonder if
We
they're
like to hook
marked
people
up.
up. Man, I've had some great subscribers and friends on
Yeah,
stream. When I'm looking for something, they flood me. That's one good thing about my following. They like to help each other out. So,
yeah.
uh, what kind of reels do you use, and what's your favorite drop shot bait?
I'll get to the drop shot bait first. I like the Robo Worm. I usually use the 6 inch exclusively. The straight. I'll use the fat every now and then. I only use the four if they're really finicky. Water's extremely clear, and it seems like they want a 4 inch, or I'm fishing more spotted bass. But 90% of the time, it's a 6 inch Robo Worm and Morning Dawn. I like a Strike King half shell and a Fluke Junior.
Yeah, I
Usually a
love
Fluke
the fluke.
Junior and blueback herring lakes a lot. I love a Fluke Junior if I'm fishing for them big spots on like Smith Lake or Lanier. You know, places that's got blueback herring, Hartwell. But it's mainly going to be a robo worm most of the time. A 6 inch robo worm in Morning Dawn or Margarita Mutilator.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah,
when it comes to drop shot baits for me, it starts with the Robo Worm.
yeah,
Obviously, there's other stuff, but man, the Morning Dawn, Aaron's Magic. I liked Morning Dawn Red Flake. That was always one that produced
yep.
for me quite a bit.
The
Uh,
the reels I use are now available to everybody, but I use the Art, the G7 and G9 Gravity,
mm-hmm.
and gosh, they're so sweet, man.
Might have to
Uh,
check one of
I
those out.
I love those arc reels. They're unreal. Before that, I was using the Dial Bazillion, and I mean they're just alike. It seems like only you can really fine tune an arc. There's three settings for them instead of just the two. You
Interesting.
can you can do it. You got the dial on the left, dial on the right, and then there's an internal brake system too you can mess around with. So you can really fine tune the arc reels. Uh, and I am using Daiwa ballistic spinning reels. Arc hasn't quite come out with a spinning reel yet. It's coming, but not yet.
That I got a Daiwa. I think it's a Tatua spinning reel. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
a Daiwa guy, but that's the first I've heard about the Arc Baitcaster. I probably gonna attack warehouse, check one out myself.
Oh,
I don't
dude,
get
that's so
hardcore
sweet.
into the rods and reels. I like the bait aspect of it as long as I can throw it. But
Yep.
anyway, let's see if I got one more question. We've been on for about an hour. I got about 130 people in here, and of course, if they miss it, they'll be able to listen to the stream back on YouTube tomorrow. I got to edit a thumbnail and add links and all that, but I've had a long day, so uh,
Yeah.
anyway. See if we got any more last questions here. I don't want to keep Spencer up too long. I know he said he'd go forever, but I'm burning up. I ain't got no AC in my bait room here, and I'd love to be laying on the bed like that, but
Yeah, my whole crew's in there watching a movie, so we're letting the kids stay up a little late tonight because they didn't have cheer, and so they're in there watching a movie. So
yeah, my son had football practice, and I told him get your homework done, go to bed. And
yeah,
but I'd love to have you back on another stream. Maybe next time you win another $200,000, we can do it again.
yeah, dude, that'd be fun. I got another shot at it one more time this year to win that much again. That's the Toyota Series Championship at Gunnersville. I'm looking forward to it. That was where I started. That's where I fished my very first professional tournament. Was on Gunnersville, the one Paul Lice won with an Alabama rig.
Yep, dude,
So it was
that's a
awesome.
very memorable tournament for many reasons. It started a revolution, the A rig, and honestly, it was a gateway for many guys to get into normal swim bait fishing.
Yeah,
Swim
it
bait fishing
was.
is obviously huge now, but I'm a big Bastrix fan. Obviously, Bastrix started a lot of stuff too, but then that kind of led to the A rig, and guys learned the A rig, got good, and then they said, I think I'll try a single swim bait or this and that." And now it's just swim bait fishing is just unreal. It's probably I get so many swim bait questions every stream. It's hard to
You know what
answer them.
stinks about that whole A rig situation is that was in 2012, I believe. And
Yep.
my dad spent a lot of time on the road fishing tournaments. And we had a neighbor. I actually called him my uncle. His name was Lloyd. Called him Uncle Lloyd. He was no relation at all. But I was like a 6 year old kid. So this was in probably 95, 96 when my dad built the house that they his built a house, first house he built, and we moved to it. And he trolled all the time, and he trolled with Alabama rigs. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. They called them umbrella rigs back then, and put these like 7 and 8 inch swim baits on it for hybrids on Lake DeGray, Lake Washita lakes, and you would not believe the 4, 5, 6, and 7 pound bass we caught every trip. We'd catch at least
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 bass over 4 pounds, and we just never even thought about it.
Yep.
Never even thought about it, man. And I look back at that now, I was like, gosh, big old dummy. Why didn't y'all think to ever just put that on a casting rod, like a flipping stick or something, and throw it around some? I mean, it was just crazy to me. That's been out for so long, and we didn't figure out that we could actually use it effectively until 2012, or
Yeah.
about probably 2010, really.
Saltwater guys were kind of using it. They had, the giant spreader rigs, obviously, for
Yeah.
marlin and tunas, but there's some guys that use some smaller ones. And I remember, guys troll for white bass out here. They're making little Alabama rigs all the time with little curly tails on them. You'd run them through school, you catch 4 or 5 and whatnot. But I made a little video about this a while back. I feel that the Alabama rig it shouldn't be banned anymore. I think we're past that. That it's a magical bait and all this stuff. Fish get tuned in to things, and I don't think the Alabama rig really makes you a better fisherman. I mean,
No,
obviously, it's
no,
just like anything else. You got time and
there
place.
there was when it first come out, guys. Look, you didn't really have to have skill to throw an A rig.
No, I agree with
You
that.
got to have skill to use live scope. I don't care what anybody says. Uh, because we've proven that with the same guys still catch them. But an A rig, there was a time when it first came out, there was literally guys just going down the banks with it, and they were getting lucky and catching a couple 7 pounders with 3 4 pounders and winning tournaments. Guys that you never heard of before, guys that had never cashed a check, were all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden now catching 20 plus pounds. But that was just that one year. After that, you better have been throwing it on the juice stuff to catch them
Mm-hmm.
because they had been educated so well. Uh, my whole deal with the Alabama rig is the reason I wouldn't want to see it to come back on a tour level. I'm fine with it being legal in the Toyota series. You don't even hear about it anymore, hardly, even at the Toyota series level and BFLs and stuff. The reason I would hate to see it come back at a tour level is because it's just like around here in the winter. Even though it's not as poisonous as it once was, as effective as it once was 10 years ago or whatever, you still have to throw it to win.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Live scope, you can throw so many different things to catch the same fish, but there's nothing else you can throw in replacement of an A rig to catch the same fish, if that makes any sense. There's
Makes
only one
perfect
bait I've
sense.
ever seen that can actually uh, compete with an A rig in the winter, and that's a rattle trap. That's it. That is the only bait I've found around here that can compete with the A rig guys in the winter is a trap, and it's just because it's such a deadly reaction bite. And there are just some really big ones in the wintertime. Stay up there in that 10 foot or less, cruising around, and you can go throw a trap all day and get five of the right bites and still have 25 pounds. But you better be throwing A rig if the water's under 60 degrees. I'm just telling you, you're not going to win. It's
Yeah,
just that effective.
I've tried it and I get my brains beat out in the
And
last
I,
few
and I
years.
love throwing an A rig. I can tell you, I love throwing it. I can throw it with the best of them. I just don't like knowing I have to throw it.
Right.
I want to do other things to catch them. I like throwing the trap. I like dragging a football jig, throwing a shaky head, a drop shot, a jerk bait. I like doing all that. But in a tournament where A rig's allowed and you know that's what you got to do to win, it's like you feel like every cast without throwing the A rig, you're wasting time.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides of
Yeah.
that, but I don't even know where I'm going. I'm out. I'm zoning out. Um, anyway, let's see. I'm trying to think of something we can end this thing on. All right, do you got any special juice secrets or any tips for anybody that watch the stream, like a little bait hack or anything?
Bait hack. Probably. I'm sure I've got tons of them, man.
I meant to ask you this on
You
your
put me
Ned
on the
rig. Are you
spot. I can't think of anything.
on the Ned rig and specifically fishing for those smallmouth? Is there a certain head? I mean, or are you
Woo
just a
tungsten.
standard woo tungsten? Do
Yep,
you
it's the
like
only
that
one.
tungsten head versus a lead a whole lot better?
Uh, I don't know if I've ever even thrown lead. I mean, I'm all tungsten. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do they even make them in lead? I mean, I'm sure they do. I
yeah.
know all the Z-Man ones are tungsten. I'm pretty sure, aren't they?
Uh,
I think all the Z-Man Ned heads are tungsten.
I think they're lead.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've thrown some of them too. I throw them a lot in practice sometimes, or when I go to a place where I know I'm gonna catch, 150 or so a day, like up there in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many places you catch over 100 a day up there, especially them little lakes that you can go to. I usually throw my TRD if I'm throwing a TRD on a Z-Man head because the bait doesn't get all wadded up on it from when the fish come up jump. That Woo Tungsten has a metal bait keeper on the back side of the shank of the hook. I mean, any guy on here, I'm sure there's guys on here that throw the Woo Tungsten. You know what I'm talking about. If you throw
Yeah.
TRD on a Woo Tungsten net head, it is frustrating, especially with smallmouth. They twist that thing around there so bad, you have to rip that thing off and put it back on. And the Z-Man uh, Ned head, you just don't have to do that as much. But I lose more fish on the Z-Man. The Woo Tungsten, the paint never chips off the head, and usually if they're once you hook them, they're caught. So I'll
Right.
throw that one in tournament.
So that's another. It's just like anything else. They always got pros and cons to one versus the other. I
Yeah.
did get a question here. Art, do you use bait fuel?
I use no scent at all, probably, really, honestly. I do have some squid scent that I put on my drop shot stuff. Uh, on my bags, usually I put in my bags the night before, like if I'm going to use a Morning Dawn or
Mm-hmm.
Margarita Mule, I got this stuff called Squid Scent I put on there, or this other bottle I got called Kicking Bass, and it's a garlic scent.
Dude, that's old school kicking bass. I remember that
Yeah, I
stuff
put
back
that
in the
on
day.
there, and man, I mean, it seems to work. It doesn't hurt, but I've never got a bottle of bait fuel. I've been hearing the hype, seen it on Facebook. I mean, is it that good? I mean, does it work? Is it just a fad right now because
I'm
people are
just on
talking
the
about
fence
it?
about it. I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got some, but I'm
I
like you. I don't think scent's ever gonna hurt me, but I don't know if it
no.
really helps me.
I kind of
Now,
wish I would have come up with something if I'd known I was going to win the St. Lawrence. I would have come up with something like rubbed it on my flatware and be like, "Hey, this is the new deal. It's called Spencer's Secret Sauce." And shoot, I might have done sold $100,000 worth of product by
dude,
now.
I bet
I
you would
think
have
that's
sold
really
quite a
all
bit.
it is, honestly.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I know they backed by science on everything. I think there's something to max scent. Uh,
Oh, for sure, accent.
for
And there's something to
smallmouth.
gulp too.
Yep. I remember guys. Remember the gulp used to come in those old canisters, and you'd get that just like liquid
Yeah,
in there. They were taking their robo worms or whatever their drop shot
yeah.
baits, fluke juniors, and they let them sit in that gulp juice for a couple days or whatnot. Basically, doing the same thing what bait fuel does, and there's a lot of people that they find them gulp stuff, they buy them and get
Yeah,
whatever's out of them.
you got the smelly jelly. I've rubbed that on my bait before, but I mean, I've got a guy that's religious on that. But one time I rubbed it all over my worms before a tournament, and the guy behind me was just pulling it straight out of the package, and he was catching. Literally, he had done caught like 7 or 8 keepers, throwing the same worm, same nails, same chartreuse on the tip, and I hadn't even caught one yet. And the only difference was I had smelly jelly on mine, and he didn't. I literally got down, opened a new bag of worms, put one on, and I don't know if he caught another fish the rest of the night. So I did see scent hurt that night. And that's legit. That really happened. I'm not kidding. We used to always spray Specail or Bang It or
Mm-hmm.
Bang or whatever. We used to always spray it on our jigs growing up. Don't know if it really mattered or not. Uh, the one time I've actually seen scent truly matter, obviously max scent. I mean that's a given. But the one time I've actually seen scent really matter was when I was a co-angler, Lake Gunnersville, into May. I drew Jay Ellis,
Oh, Jay.
and we were fishing on ledges, and he had 19 pounds before a cat could lick its rear, and he was spraying gulp on his football jig. Every other cast, he was spraying gulp crawfish on his football jig, and dude, I have not had a bite. I mean, we go to the next sledge, he catches like 3 or 4 4 pounders off it, go to the next sledge, and I'm like, okay, it's the spray. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, if he's going to call like 4 or 5 limits that weigh nearly 20, he's like, you want some of this spray? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be nice. And I remember I sprayed it on my football jig and first cast caught a 6.5 pounder. And he literally let me spray it on my jig till I got 5. I had 5 that weighed 18.5 that day. And I literally had them in like 15 minutes. And after I caught my 5th one, he said, all right. And he never let me spray my jig no more. And I don't think I caught another fish the rest of the day.
That's an
That's
amazing story.
Dude, I legit that happened. So the very next tournament was on Pickwick, and I bought like 6 bottles of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day I drew Dan Moorhead, and
Oh,
I
Danny.
sprayed, yeah, I sprayed an entire bottle. I went through an entire bottle that day on my football jigs, and I had 8.5 pounds. And Dan never sprayed his jig once, and he had like 19. I'm like, okay, this, I evidently Pickwick fish don't care. And I've never sprayed a jig again since that day.
I'll be dang. Yeah, I
Not
know.
once.
I know Dan quite a bit growing up. He's a good dude. I used to always call him Bowflex.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He's a
So.
great fisherman. He basically kind of walked away a little bit. He's got a daughter and a son. He's doing the
Hmm.
high school fishing thing with them.
Yeah.
I always feel like Dan's a very underrated fisherman. He's won a lot of money, and he did it a little bit different on Kentucky. Like he was more of a shallow water guy when a lot of
Yeah.
guys were ledge
Yeah.
fishing.
He caught the I'm gonna say the lake record or the state record spotted bass on Table Rock in Missouri when I was a co-angler. The last year I fished it as a co-angler, he caught one weighed 7.7 or 7.8 or seven
Mm-hmm.
nine. It was a Kentucky spotted bass, not an Alabama spotted bass. Big difference. And
Yes.
a 7 pound Kentucky spotted bass is a giant. That's like a 10 pound Alabama spotted bass, in my opinion. You don't see many 7 pound Kentucky spotted bass. You don't see many even 3.5, 4 pound Kentucky spotted bass, but you do at Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Beaver, but that's basically it. That's a giant he caught up there and caught
That's
it
a
on a
true
megaback jerk
football.
bait, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, he's a good jerk bait fish. He's a good dude. I really
Yeah.
like Dan. Uh, who? Since you were talking about you started as co-angler. Who was one of your favorite all-time draws when you're a co-angler? It could be the guy you were with when you caught the biggest sack, or the guy that treated you the best. Or did you ever have like that one guy? I'm pretty sure you probably looked up to your dad hardcore, but was there another guy that was like, man, this guy's my favorite. I got to fish with him.
Man, I've been asked that a lot too. I fished with so many good ones. I fished with Justin Kerr, he don't fish anymore. Gabe Bolivar, he don't fish anymore. Tim Klinger, he doesn't fish anymore. These were all West Coast guys.
Yep.
I fished with Dave Lefebvre. He was probably the best caster, pitcher, flipper I've ever seen in my life. He was just unbelievable at casting. Uh, I fished with Randall Tharp back before he had made a name. Fished with him at Lake Norman. Uh, Fished with Shed Skank. I fished with all of them. Jay Yellis, George Cochran, Larry Nixon. I fished with all of them. I drew every one of them. I did it for 6 years, so I drew all of them, several of them multiple times. They were all really good. They really were. Uh, there was a few guys you're like, man, you probably shouldn't be out here, but
Yeah.
those guys I don't remember. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Always
Uh,
remember the good times, forget the bad
Yeah,
times.
but a lot of them guys that weren't very good were the guys you caught them with the best. Those were the guys you usually caught them with the best because they would still be around fish, but they weren't real good at catching them. So if you knew kind of what you were doing, you could really mop up house behind them. It was the guys that were really good that knew what they were doing. You weren't going to catch a whole lot behind
Right.
them. It was tough. So
That's
you
why
you
they
know
say some of them pros are like a vacuum cleaner because they suck up
yeah, a
everything
lot of
around
them are
there.
good. If you draw a guy that really knows what he's doing, uh, you're not going to catch a limit behind him more than likely unless you're on a smallmouth fishery where it's just you can throw anywhere around the boat and catch one, or you're like a Potomac River where you can just throw a chatterbait out in these expansive grass flats and get bit. That's where you see co-angler weights being high, with a field that's stacked pretty heavy with hammers. But yeah, I don't have any favorites that pop up off the top of my head. I had good times with a lot of guys out there. Learned a lot from a lot of them guys. So yeah, it was just a good experience all around, really.
Yeah. Did you ever get to fish with Aaron Martins?
I did not. He never fished that side.
Yeah, I
He
knew
was
he was
over
pretty
on
much
bass
straight
by then.
bass.
Yeah,
Um,
knew him though. Talked to him multiple times. Fished tournaments against him when I went pro, but never actually fished with him.
yeah, everybody loved Aaron. He's a great dude and probably the ultimate tackle nut. I talked to him at ICAST one day. Ben Parker, the Magnum Spoon guy, introduced me to him. And he said, "You want to see something cool?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Go over there and ask Aaron Martins the difference between 4 pound and 6 pound line for smallmouth." And it was like a 25-minute conversation. Like he just he's one of those guys. He played with every brand, every style bait. He wanted to know the ins, the outs, and he was testing it. And I'm like, dude, this is insane. And I always thought a lot of him. And that's the only time I ever talked to him or met him. But rest in peace to Aaron. But we got some great anglers in the sport right now. I know a lot of people say, "I wish it was like the good old days or whatnot," but I feel like there's a good group of anglers your age and younger that are really, Zach Burge. He's the guy that I'm saying if Zach ever tastes that win, it's going to be hard to stop him because he's always right there.
Yeah, there is a lot of good anglers. There's a lot of good anglers coming up. You didn't have high school or college fishing when I was growing up. Of course, I didn't go to college. I actually took a bunch of extra classes in high school so I could get out early to start fishing.
Right.
And so I did. I actually got out a semester early. When we went on Christmas break, I was done and started my career there as a co-angler immediately. Uh, so But there really is, man. There's so many good anglers coming into this sport. It's gonna get scary. Uh, in the next 10 years. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that's 18 right now that by the time they're 26, 27, 28, going to be pretty scary good. But so many there's so many things in the sport that's changing the sport. YouTube's a big deal. It's saturated with information. I think there's so many
Sometimes,
people putting information out there hoping they're going to be the next big YouTuber. Probably not going to happen because that's so saturated, but they're putting out so much good information that you can still go and see it for free. And these
mm-hmm.
guys were able to put it to work and learn things that they normally would have never learned unless they fished with the guy, happened to draw a guy that showed it to them. Now you can just get on YouTube and everybody's giving away their best secret because they're
Mm-hmm.
hoping they're going to get a million views. You know what I mean?
I'm
Which is
just here.
great.
I'm
It's
just
great
here
for
for
the
the baits,
sport.
man. You
Yeah,
know.
it's great, but we're learning so much now off of YouTube that when I was growing up,
You had to
I mean,
order a
I didn't even start
VHS.
watching YouTube until I was probably 25, man.
Right.
And now, I mean, I've learned a lot by just watching YouTube, a lot. And all these kids are getting all of that and they're learning it.
Yep.
So it's making it a lot more dangerous game for the young generation. I mean, they're a lot better. They're 5 to 10 years ahead of where I was at that age.
So I'm also of the opinion there's a lot of bad information on YouTube because,
Oh
like
yeah,
you
there is
say,
a lot of bad
everybody's trying,
information
and
too.
TikTok's really bad. There's a few people on TikTok. I'm like, I cannot believe you're putting this out there, and
Yeah,
people sheep it up. Uh,
yeah,
I try not to say things or talk about baits I don't have experience with
yep,
or whatnot because I don't want to be that guy, and that's why I ask people like you on the stream because, dude, I've learned a ton of information on here. Your Ned rig deal, the difference between the max scent and the TRD. Most guys are going to go out and they're going to either bring one or the other, and if they don't bite it, they don't bite it. They don't think
yeah,
about what you're thinking about, stuff like that. So I really enjoy that aspect, but I do feel there's a lot of people putting stuff out there that it's about the click. It's not about really learning something. They're
yeah,
trying to
exactly.
educate you, but really it's all about getting them views. And every time this guy puts out something, you'll see two or three copy it. But these live streams and stuff, I get so many compliments of guys like, man, I really loved his point of view. He really broke it down. And you're not trying to get a million views. You're just trying to conversate with me or whoever else. So,
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I think a lot of the guys that are getting the information from YouTube that's helping them
mm-hmm.
are already very well versed in fishing and pretty knowledgeable to begin with. So when they get on YouTube to search a technique or to learn something about a technique, they already know what they're looking for. So they can tell probably if it's good information
Correct.
or bad. Like that's me. Like when I started watching glide bait videos
Mm-hmm.
to learn to throw a glide bait. See, I knew which videos were. You could just tell by the way the guy was holding his hand, holding a reel in his hand, or twitch the rod if he knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? And if
Absolutely.
if you could tell, like okay, he's just putting something out there. I just exit off and go to the next one until you've seen somebody that knew what they were really talking about. Like the tactical bison, Matt Allen, his buddy, whatever, I
Matt and
can't
Tim.
think. Yeah, Tim out,
Tim Little,
Tim,
Matt Allen. I cross them up, and they're
Tim
good
Little.
friends of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, you can always tell watching their stuff. They know what they're talking about. And so I've watched a ton of their stuff back 6, 7 years ago. Gosh, I watched so much of their stuff, especially when it comes to glide baits and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell they knew what they were talking about. So I just think that there's a lot of the younger generation at the table. If they're really into fishing, they're knowledgeable about it. They're already pretty good. They know when they
They
see
can
something.
cipher the
If it's
BS a little bit.
Yeah, they can sense. Hey, this is a guy I need to listen to. This is a guy I probably shouldn't. And so it's just there's so much more information out there. There is a lot of bad information, but there's a lot of good information out there too.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like when I was growing up, if you wanted to learn about spinnerbaits, you had to rent the Jimmy Houston VHS about
Yeah,
baits. Now if I type in, how to fish a spinnerbait, I'm going to have some legit information
Yeah.
instantly. You know, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to wait on that. So, but Spencer, we've been on for about an hour and a half, and dude, this has been an awesome stream. We've had over 120 up to 140 people in here tonight, and I want to thank you very much for taking some time out. One of our members in here the other night, I said, "Who you guys want to see on here?" Right before he even won the tournament, man, he said, "I want to see Spencer Sheffield on here. I love following him on TikTok, and I
Yeah.
like." And so I legitimately I DM'd you live, and you responded, and I really appreciate that, man. Just staying in touch with. I'm a little guy, man. I've only got 17,000 subs. Been around forever, and just
Dang,
I'm
that's
all into
good.
the baits, and
Yeah.
I'm a full-time steel worker and a part-time YouTube guy. So I try to fish when I can, and I really appreciate you joining me on the
Dude,
stream.
absolutely. I'm more than happy to be here. I was slinging down some Taco Bell about at like 7:28, and you messaged me. I'm like, gosh, I'm glad he messaged me. It stays hectic around here for me when I'm
I hear
home,
you,
for
dude. I've
sure.
been late to
So,
streams. I've missed streams. Everything. I'm not the most consistent, but I have a great group of followers, and they're all tackle nuts and fishing nuts in general. So I'm gonna let you get in there with the family. I gotta go hug my little girl and get me something to eat and get in the shower. I'll get a thumbnail done and put some links, and then I'll post it on my Instagram story tomorrow or whatnot if you want to share it, and on Facebook and all that. If
yeah.
not, no big deal. But guys, I hope you guys enjoyed Spencer Sheffield. I'll be live one night this weekend or whatever. Spencer, if you ever need anything, let me know. If you want to do another stream, I'm always down. And good luck to you in your next tournament.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, guys, be sure to like, comment on the video afterwards. You guys have a good night.
See y'all.